It's Maddie Adams. Let's get right into it. So today we're going to be terraforming Mars. I have already put it in here as a moon of the Earth, and I just have the temperature stabilized just a bit. So I haven't actually done anything to it, um, but just a little bit of prep work to get us going. So you will notice, firstly, that even though it's at the same distance as the Earth about, because it's in the moon's orbit, that it's still very cold because we don't have an atmosphere. So the first thing that we are going to want to do is we're going to want to add some atmosphere here. So in order to do that, like I said, in the past when I've done this, I've kind of just tried bombarding it with comets and stuff like that. But for a live setting and trying to get this done quick, I think it makes the most sense to do it this way. So we're going to want the nitrogen. Where's nitrogen here? All right. So we're going to want it to be 3.08 times 10 to the 18th, about. So 3.08 times 10 to the 18th. Oop. What just happened? Alright, well that is clearly not right. That's way too much nitrogen. Holy crap. What did I do? Well, that's awesome. I just turned Mars into a black hole with so much nitrogen. You know, things can never just go the way I want them to go in Universe Sandbox, but that's okay. Alright, let's do this again. I'll just kind of tick it up. I tried to have Grok create the formula to tell me how much atmosphere and how much liquid and stuff we would need, but apparently it was wrong. So, can't rely on AI for anything, can you? Alright, so let's go back here. You guys will get to see what I did this whole time. So we're going to replace the moon with Mars. Replace. I hit play for a while. We're just going to let this temperature go down a little bit. So let's just speed it up here until we see this temperature kind of stabilize. And I'm going to delete regular Mars, just because it's kind of weird having two Marses. So we'll delete regular Mars and these two moons. Alright. So now we have our Earth-Mars system. And like I said, we'll just speed this up a little bit because I want to get the temperature regulated. And then once we get the temperature regulated, instead of turning Mars into a gigantic black hole like I just did, we're going to try to do it the right way. So good job, Grok. Can't depend on you for anything. Hope everyone's having a great day today. I said this is Universe Sandbox. If you're unfamiliar, if you've never played this game, it's really fun. If you're curious how anything works, let me know. Yeah, two Mars is definitely kind of weird. Alright, so let's go here. Let this temperature just kind of stabilize. What is our temperature now? So interestingly enough, like I said, you'll see that even though once the temperature stabilizes, it's still going to be very cold. And, that just goes to show you how much our atmosphere really plays in regulating our temperature. That's why even though the moon is this relatively the same distance from the sun, the moon is, super hot on one side, super cold on the other side. Because our atmosphere really helps spread that temperature around and really regulate the temperature and the climate here on Earth. So it's just between our atmosphere, our magnetic field, and our plate tectonics, it really makes us so unique and different from any other planet in the solar system. Absolutely. I hope everyone's having a great day. If you work today, I hope work was all right for you and not too bad. Hopefully you're lucky enough to maybe even be able to enjoy your job a little bit. Alright, I think our temperature getting pretty close to stabilized here. Still warming up a little bit. Let's see where this puts us at in Fahrenheit land. Ooh, we have a max temperature that's almost positive. Okay, but it looks like we evened out though, because now we're actually warming back up, or cooling back down, depending on where we're at in our orbit. Alright, so that's good. Woo! Okay. So, I'm going to double click on Mars here, and I'll kind of show you guys how I'm doing this too, if you're ever interested in doing this on your own. So, when you first go to the composition tab here, it's not going to be broken out into layers. No, I'm not. It's just water. I got a whole pitcher. All I really drink during stream is water because it's 8 o'clock. I'm not going to pop out a Dr. Pepper. That reminds me of Always Sunny in Philadelphia, though, the McPoyles, how they're always drinking milk even at like a party. Alright, so we're going to click layers to kind of break it out. And then we're going to start by adding a little bit of nitrogen. So I added way too much last time and turned it into a black hole, basically. So we're going to go nice and slow and steady here. Times 2, times 2, times 2, times 2. Just until we kind of start seeing some clouds. Okay, there we go. Got some clouds. Alright, we're going to want a little bit more oxygen and a little bit more carbon dioxide as well. Maybe that'll be enough. We can always adjust later. 1% argon, so not too much argon. Doomp, doomp. We'll just do like a little bit of argon. And we're going to do water vapor because, let's see, as of right now, we don't have an ocean. And there's no option in here to just start adding ocean. But once we get below freezing, we should start to see some of this ice melt and stuff like that. So, let's see where our temperature is at now. So we're still very cold. So let's add some water vapor. Composition. Back to the atmosphere, water. Maybe if we get enough water in the atmosphere, we can get some clouds, make it start raining. Click, 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 click. And because Mars doesn't have that much water to begin with, and almost none in the atmosphere, I don't think it's really adding anything. Maybe it's just at like the minimum total amount. Yeah, that might be just like the minimum total amount. So let's see here. You know what? We will just add some water, I guess. We got to get something going on here. I'll smash a couple comments into it. Just get some water going on here. And hopefully, like I said, we should start to see this temperature regulate a little bit more. Still have a max temperature of only negative 15 degrees, man. Let's change that. Let's see here. Temperature. Is this even warming us up at all? Alright, let's get more. I guess more. And it's really. I think this is like the minimum amount. So let's see, we'll do kilograms. Why is this not changing at all? Okay, apparently I just cannot change the water in the atmosphere. Oh yay, we got an ocean now. Sweet. Okay, so now we can manually adjust the ocean. Times 2, times 2, times 2, times 2. Hey, there we go. Got some ocean. Let's see, maybe we need just a little bit thicker of an atmosphere. Oh wait, that's actually cutting it in half. Whoops. That. Oh yeah, water's not changing at all. Duh. Alright, carbon dioxide, there we go. Alright. How are we still so cold? We got ocean. What else should I add, guys? Be aggressive. Be aggressive. I'm just wondering why we still don't have the temperature stabling out. Maybe because there's no core heat. I guess we'll continue to add a thicker and thicker atmosphere. Let's see here. Need some more greenhouse gases, you know what I'm saying? Do. Lots of nitrogen. Okay. I mean, now it's basically like Venus. You think we should really, really start heating up here. And yet, nothing. I wonder if that's just something I'm doing wrong, or if that's just a limitation of Universe Sandbox. I don't know. What do you think? Do you think our planet... Because, I mean, I almost turned it into Venus here. I mean, look at this. And still, not really warming up at all. Maybe it is a little bit, and it's just going to take a while. Let's see, we're only going by hours. Okay, we're warming up. Ooh, I hope I didn't hothouse it too much. I might have just been being impatient. Let's see here. Should have a nice habitable Mars coming up soon, or maybe too hot. Let's see. We will Americanize this. Oh yeah. So the average temperature of Earth is in the 40s. And I said, when I look it up on Google, so Google says it's approximately 59 degrees Fahrenheit. I believe Universe Sandbox, when you start out the Earth, it's at like 46 degrees. But, oh man, I might have actually hothoused us. Well, let's see. Let it stabilize. Let's see how we're looking right now. Oops, I need to stop just dropping comments. Pew! This is our new Mars right now. It's just an ocean world. You know what, let's get rid of a little bit of this surface water. Yeah. So we can see some land. Is that just how thick our atmosphere is? I'll reduce the atmosphere just a little bit. Make it look a little bit more Earth-like here. Yeah, we're starting to look pretty Earth-like. But the true test will be the temperature here. Yeah, it's starting to look pretty habitable. Optimize sim speed for temperature or for liquid. Oh, we can halt and reverse motion too. That's kind of fun. Tidally lock. Alright, but let's take a look. What do you guys think? Are we habitable? Could we live on this Mars? And I mean, not that we could ever just, take a giant tractor beam and pull Mars into us, but do you think that we'd be able to live on this? I think we could. I think that we're just about stabilized. It's warmer than our normal Earth. Pretty hot. We have an average temperature. Oh no, maybe it's not. It's still cooler. Yeah, the hottest place is 68 degrees. Nice. See anything? The atmosphere is so thick you can't see anything. Well, like I said, we think that the reason why Earth is habitable and Mars isn't is because it cooled down quicker, doesn't have plate tectonics. So, that's part of the reason why we have the Tharsis volcanic region and this gigantic the Vias Marineris, because when you don't have plates moving over a hotspot, you just have that same hotspot pushing up, making these gigantic mountains we know as the Tharsis megaregion. So, just totally wild. All right, I'm going to save this here. I think we have this pretty much habitable. We could live there. So then we'll get into a little bit more fun stuff. And like I said, this was a request from somebody on TikTok. I've done similar things to this before, but people really love the idea of terraforming Mars. Hey, so Mars all wet and watery like. Mars is a moon of Earth and habitable now. Alright. So now let's have a little fun. Now let's crash new Mars into Earth. And how can we do that just with motion? Well, we would want to slow it down. Let's see, 27.4. Oh no, that's just going to make it go off on its own path. We'll do it the manual way. I just saw Haley's comet appear somewhere in the stratosphere. Alright, let's slow this way down just to make sure Earth crashes into it. 7.4 kilometers per second. Boom! Up! What? Seriously? How dare you? Just rude. Sorry, this transform tool is just kind of weird the way that you use it. I really have trouble with like the y-axis on it. Like, what is up with that? You know what? Whatever. We're just going to launch. I really do not like the way that the transform tool works in this, but maybe I'm just not doing it right. It's quite possible. Mars, where are you? Dun, 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 dun. Launch. dun, dun. Yeah, let's make a way bigger Earth. What do you guys think about way, way bigger Earth? Dun 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 dun. We'll see if we make Earth way bigger by colliding a bunch of Marses with it. What happens? Boom! One, two. We'll add a couple more Marses. Just totally make Earth really, really big. And it's going to actually give us less water and stuff since Mars is mostly rocky and molten. So we'll see what goes on there. And sorry I didn't have any news for you guys this week. I wanted to kind of stay away from the comet stuff just because it's really been getting kind of so insane on the internet with the alien people. And I want aliens to exist as much as the next person, but wow. Come on. Let's see. Oh wow, it looks so small when you zoom out, you know? That is beautiful though. I love the colors you get in this game. I wonder if they're realistic with as far as like what gases and what composition of stuff will make different colors, because I have noticed that you can get all different colored supernovas, which is pretty sweet. The temperature of the hottest place on Earth. I don't know what the average temperature of the hottest place on Earth would be. See, that's the hardest thing when you talk about like the average temperature of the Earth is, do we have probes everywhere? You know, are we averaging out places where there's a higher density of probes than we are, say, like Antarctica, right? Because we know that, let's say, like in the United States, for example, right, there are probably thousands upon thousands of different probes that are measuring temperature and climate. And you get to less populated places, you're going to have less of that. So I almost wonder if it's really even possible to come up with an average temperature for Earth, you know? I think that's why you get such varying results. Um, but I do believe Death Valley, California, has the record for the hottest high temperature on Earth. And there are some places in Iran, I believe, that have come pretty close. Alright, do you think Earth will look anything the same after this? I just crashed about 9 Marses into it. We'll kind of let it go around a little bit, see how we're doing here. Doom, 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 doom. Bablow. Let's see if we get anything good. Let that average temperature come back down a little bit. Yeah, the hottest place I've ever been to was the United Arab Emirates, and well, yeah, you were there, but it's it's like the one of the few places on the earth where the color of the temperature is like that dark burgundy red or like white. You know, it's like the UAE and like the northern tip of Africa. I was like, geez, we are really like on the surface of the sun out here. Yeah, I don't know how people live out there. Actually, it's kind of crazy if you remember, Iris, when we were in the UAE, like a lot of the malls and stuff like that. In the summer, the malls wouldn't even open until the evening, and everybody was almost on basically like an evening work schedule. You know, it's kind of like how up here in Wisconsin, nobody wants to go out when it's freezing cold in the middle of the night. Well, you know, out in the super hot desert, nobody wants to go out during the day. And, you know, if you remember, we woke up at like 4:30 just so that we could get our PT run in before the sun started coming up, because you do not want to be running when that sun starts coming up. Like it's crazy. I think the lowest temperature I ever saw there was like 46 degrees. Nighttime low in January, in the middle of the winter, 46. And you know, like I said, living in Milwaukee, you do get tired of the cold, but I was wishing for it there. I was like, man, can we have one day below freezing? Is it ever going to happen? And no, it didn't. Apparently 46, 48 50 degrees or so. That's their version of freezing in the United Arab Emirates. I'm still kind of just waiting for Earth to cool down and regulate itself. We have kind of a whole new solar system here, though, because I deleted Mars, and then I terraformed it, and then I smashed Mars into Earth, and then I smashed a bunch more Marses into Earth. So, we've just got all these little fragment pieces out here trying to figure everything out as we wait for this surface temperature to regulate here a little bit. Yeah, I was not used to the heat. So when I went to the United Arab Emirates, I went from living in Wisconsin to summer in North Carolina to fall in the United Arab Emirates to coming back to North Carolina, having a whole summer in the UAE, and then having to come back to Wisconsin for the winter. So I literally had a year where, I saw 116-degree days in the summer and -20 in the winter, all in the same year. That really screwed with my body's equilibrium. Like I really actually don't think I can't really handle the cold as well now that I've come back to Wisconsin. Like I never really loved it, but after living in North Carolina and then living in the Middle East, like and forcing my body to get used to that heat and then having to come back here and force my body to get used to the cold is just wreaked havoc on my body, I think, over a while. Replace the sun with an orange. What? Hey Hayden, how's it going, dude? An orange what now? An orange draft? I'm just waiting for. Let me know exactly what you want me to do, Hayden. I just crashed a bunch of Marses into Earth. I'm kind of letting the temperature go down a little bit. I just want to see if we'll get a livable Earth. I don't think so, though. Might have too much atmosphere. Google. Orange draft. Alright, I shall Google it. I guess I assumed that you, Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. Could you rephrase maybe? Oh, orange sun. Okay, that makes more sense. Do you have a particular star that you would like to use? I'll just load up a new one here. All planets and all moons. Now that I know how to use the replace button, though. Oh, whoops. This is a funky one that I did from a while ago. All planets and all moons. Alright, here we go. So we'll replace the sun. Always pause it first. You never know how stuff's going to go flying around. I know I say that a lot, but if you guys ever play this game, it is important. So I say it out loud sometimes just to remind myself. Alright, so we're going to replace the sun. Let's see, we got a red giant, red main sequence, orange giant? Alright, we'll do an orange giant. So this is going to be actually only a little bit more massive than the sun. Or 1.14. Yeah, we'll do this one. Alpha Tau. Boom. Uh-oh. Well, we'll see how this goes. I think everything's gonna get sucked in. We'll see. Earth might be far enough away to stay in orbit. Yeah, that's way bigger than Earth, though. So this is only 1.13 masses of the sun, but I guess it's got to be a lot less dense because its radius is huge. Look, we're cooking Mercury. Take a look at Mercury here. Oh yeah. Sorry, Mercury, you're always the first to go when we mess with the sun, brother. It's not like you got much going on anyways. You're kind of just a rock. I know I'm being facetious, but I mean, besides like mining, maybe, in the future, Mercury doesn't interest me a whole lot. I said to call it useless would be a bit of, that might be a bit much because, we never know. We could always find more stuff on these planets, but let's see how Earth's temperature is. Oh man, we are hot, hot, hot. I think all of our water is boiling and evaporating as, oh yeah. Wow, look at that. Who's in the habitable zone? Let's see. View. Habitable. Neptune, I guess? Wow. Maybe some of Neptune's moons, right? Triton. How's Triton looking? I would not have guessed it was that far out, though, Hayden. That's crazy. I guess Triton might be where we want to live now. Let's see here. Still pretty cold. Well, since we're terraforming today, let's make Triton livable since it's in that area. So let's see. First off, buddy, you're going to need some more atmosphere. Methane times 2 times 2. Do a few comets to add some water. Pachoo, 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 pachoo. Would you guys live on Triton? And actually, this brings up an interesting point. Pluto lives. Yeah, oh, that's a good point. Pluto might start melting out here too. I'll have to check out Pluto in a second. But interestingly enough, we believe that the sun will expand into a red giant eventually, and it'll expand to about where Earth is now. Maybe bigger, maybe smaller, but either way, Earth is going to get cooked up eventually, and we know that. And when the sun does eventually go into a red giant, it, like you said, it makes you think that perhaps some of the moons of Jupiter would become habitable at that point, some of the moons of Saturn, right? Like our entire solar system itself might not become uninhabitable, even if Earth itself becomes uninhabitable, right? So just kind of something interesting to think about there. But yeah, since we have this new sun, I wonder how Earth is doing. Did we just get sucked in yet? Awesome idea, Hayden. Thank you. Yeah, so this is our habitable zone. Uranus is kind of right on the edge of it. Do they really not include Pluto in all planets and all moons? Huh. How dare they? I'm going to write a tersely worded letter. No, I'm kidding. I'm probably not going to. I might, actually. You never know. How dare you not include Pluto? Now, this is one thing that kind of irritates me about this game is like you click around and it changes. I guess this is the actual habitable zone, probably. But let's take a look at Earth here. Go back to these inner planets. Alright, so yeah, Mercury is gonna pretty much gonna be completely gone. Earth, we're not really gonna be livable in this situation. We've pretty much turned into Venus at this point. Yeah, look at that, man. We're not having a good time. The only way that we might sort of be able to save ourselves a little bit is to maybe speed up and get us farther from the sun. Try that. But now we're going to be on an erratic orbit too, which is what's fun about kind of changing the speed right in the middle of the orbit like that. Wait, is Jupiter... Is all of Jupiter's moons getting cooked too? Sorry, I've been learning Gen Z slang. Is cooked. It definitely appears to be a lot brighter. That I can say. Io. Still not living on Io, I guess. Alright. What about like Enceladus, maybe? Hey? Enceladus. Yeah, these would be the places that, as our sun starts expanding, the places that we would really have to go to, basically. Alright, I'm gonna let this rock for a little bit. And then I want to see if our... I forget what moon we were doing on Neptune, but let's see if our Neptune moon is going to become habitable. Alright, let's zoom back in here. Again, I don't know why the habitable zone changes like that. If anybody has any idea, I don't know if it's a glitch, if it has to do with me clicking different planets. Like, is it trying to show me what a habitable zone of Neptune would be? I don't know. Alright. Where's our moon that we were terraforming here? Triton. There we are. Still at negative 213 degrees. I think we still need more atmosphere then. A dwarf planet is 10,000 plus year comet-like orbit. What are the chances that another planet may also be in the same elliptical orbit for beyond the reach of Pluto? The exact same orbit, I mean, the chances are really low, but I think the chances of super wild elliptical orbits are just as high as an elliptical orbit, right? Um, and that's kind of just, I guess, due to the laws of randomness, right? Like you would think that any one orbit should technically be as common as any other orbit, right? Just because the universe is so random and chaotic, but um, we also used to think that the universe was more or less uniform across it, and now we're finding that there are large voids and clusters and kind of filaments connecting everything, and that's not really the case. So, um, but the idea of, oh, like a planet nine you're talking about. Yeah, I mean, we think that there is still like a planet X or a planet nine out there beyond Pluto. And the reason for this is because of how much the sun wobbles, right? We think that the amount of wobble on the sun can't be explained just by the total mass that we have so far found in our solar system, right? So essentially, just Jupiter, Saturn, and all that doesn't quite account for the pull that we notice on the sun. So even before we discovered Neptune, before we discovered Pluto, people thought that people always before we discovered Pluto, people thought Pluto existed, right? So there's always been like a search for a planet X or a planet nine. And even now that we have discovered Pluto, we still think that there is something farther out there, perhaps in the Oort cloud, or just at a super, super, super long period orbit to where, it would be so dark out there that it would just be so, so hard to find it, right? Give Triton a moon. I wonder if you can give a moon a moon. We'll certainly give it a shot. Did I miss with all of those? Oh, they're in orbit now. Alright, what should we give Triton for a moon? It's going to have to be something smaller, I guess. Is Pluto bigger than Triton? We'll see if we can make Pluto and Triton like a binary pair, since this game didn't want to put Pluto in for us. We'll see if Pluto can be habitable out here. So now we have a moon of a moon. The question is, will it just get taken away by something else? Like, will Neptune eventually suck it out from being a moon of Triton, and will it just become a moon of Neptune? That is the real question here. No, it looks like it's actually going to stay a moon. A moon of a moon. Pluto. You're still a planet to me, buddy. Do you guys think that there's another planet out there? A planet 9 or a planet X, perhaps? I mean, it definitely stands to reason. Um, like I said, we definitely think that based on the math, based on how much the sun is getting tugged, that there is probably a planet X or, another planet out there. And like I said, I mean, it's so hard to find things once you start getting out in that vast darkness of space. If we didn't know where it was, we've been looking for it, but we still just haven't been able to find it yet. Oh no. Yeah, see, so now Pluto is just orbiting Neptune, Hayden. So if I were to do, I could do like maybe a really small moon around Triton, like a comet or something. But more likely, I think when you have a moon of a moon system, the Neptune is gonna grab it and steal it eventually. But let's try with something much smaller, and we'll do it closer, and then we'll see. So 2014 RC. This is just a comet. So this would probably stay in orbit. So I think a moon could have a very small particle for a moon, probably, but not necessarily. It would have to be much less massive than it, right? And like I said, even eventually, Neptune might just steal this little 2024 RC. I find the orbits of these moons so fascinating now. Like it reaches this point here where it has to just slow down and stop and come back. The perihelion, or yeah. All right, let's just keep. Oh man, jeez. Oh yeah, that's right. I tried to elongate Earth's orbit to save it. I don't think it's getting saved though. The moon is a molten ball. Venus is a mercury ball, a molten ball. Mercury's a molten ball. Everything is molten. Jeez. Just burning up. Alright, and slowly make this bigger and bigger and bigger. Just a Halley's comet appear. Times 2. Uh-oh. Times 2. By Mercury. Poof. Times 2. By Venus. Poof. Alright, we'll make Jupiter all giant too. Boop. Oh, now Jupiter is basically almost a brown dwarf. Oh no! Well, what's interesting is I added 10 times the mass, but it's not actually going to make it 10 times the size because as you add mass, it's going to continue to compress. Just kind of a fun fact. Oh, and it looks like everything's getting sucked into our new giant sun anyways. Boom, boom, boom. Times 10. Times 10. Times 10. And now it's a black hole. Pluto. Should we do Earth orbiting a black hole? I mean, the only problem is it's going to be cold. So I don't see it as being like, very good for us. I wonder what it would look like orbiting a black hole, It's so fast. yeah, just looks like a really nice day out, you know? Nothing weird going on here, just orbiting a black hole, you know? Schwarzschild radius. So is Earth slowly going to freeze here? If you smashed all the gas giants together, you actually wouldn't be that close to nuclear fusion, because it takes about 13 masses of Jupiter to make a brown dwarf, and that can fuse just deuterium, and I think it's about 80 masses or so of Jupiter to create a red dwarf. Fun fact. So here we can do it real quick. And I actually did do a short where I just take 13 Jupiters, they're all in a clump, and I press play, and they spin together and turn into a brown dwarf. But so if we were to take just Jupiter here, none of its moons or anything like that, right? And go to composition. Or no, my bad. Surface. Okay. So right now it's one mass of Jupiter. So if I make it 13, we should get a brown dwarf. 20? 50. 1,000. Okay, now it just turned into a black hole. Hold on, let me start that over. That's kind of weird. So if we were to just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So here's your 13 Jupiters. So now we should actually have a brown dwarf. Rogue object. Yeah. So now we're basically a brown dwarf if it's 13 of them. I don't want to try to click Jupiter 80 times. They're probably just going to fling everywhere. But yeah, about 13 masses of Jupiter for a red dwarf and about 80 to 90 for a red dwarf. Make Earth 2 times the mass and then make the moon 2 times the mass too. Okay. They're probably going to crash into each other. If I had to guess, but we shall find out. Alright, here we go. Earth. Choom, choom, choom. Alright, so times 2 masses of the Earth, and make the moon times 2. Not a whole lot of changes so far. Let's keep making the Earth bigger. Times 10. Oh, now it's just going to eat the moon. Nice. Sorry, Earth. Alright, I'm going to launch a rogue sun through here. What if a rogue star just flew through our solar system? And it wouldn't even really have to fly through the center, you would think, to do some serious, serious damage. Let's just kind of launch it there. Where'd it go? Oh, there it goes. Okay. I started out too far away. Alright. Get a little bit closer here. All right, we'll start out inside the solar system just for time's sake. And we're going to launch Bernard's star. You know what? Let's just launch it right into the sun. I think the physics of this game are really good for a $30 game, if I'm being totally honest. I mean, yeah, they're not going to be using this at NASA to, you know, plot out how we're going to get to the moon or something like that. It's not super realistic, but it's a lot more realistic than you would expect for the price you pay. Dun, 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 dun. Shark Week. What speed are we going at here? You're going too slow, buddy. 60 kilometers per second. There we go. Now we're going like super fast comet speed. Dun, 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 dun. Bernard star's about to wreck our universe. Wreck our solar system. Sorry. I know I make great music, guys. I'm kidding. That's terrible. Sarcasm was my first language before English, if you're unable to tell. Alright, Bernard Star, we're flying through the Jupiter system now. Shoom. Really? Not gonna take anything with you, huh? Alright. Really going too fast, I guess, to disrupt too much. Ooh! Disrupted Mars, though. Boom! And now our solar system is not going to have a good time, guys. Because our sun just collided. Oh no. Oh yeah, Mars just got knocked all out of orbit because Bernard's star just happened to kind of fly through it all willy-nilly. I actually didn't even plan on that. That just kind of worked out that way. Mercury is somehow always going to be okay. Obviously, the closer an object is to the body that it's orbiting, the better off it's going to be if there's some tumult, right? The things that are farther out, they're more loosely bound, and they're the ones that are going to get flung first. Let's see. How's Earth doing? Cooling down, maybe? Oh no, we're hot. Yeah, that makes sense. I guess let's see what our habitable zone looks like here. Well, we should be right on the edge of it. It's just that the sun got so hot when we smashed Bernard's star into it in the first place. What is going on here? What in the heck? It's the firmament, guys. The water's above and the water's below. The flat earthers are right. Dang it. Kidding. That is weird. Super weird. Oh, you can just hit add moons and it'll just give it a bunch of moons. Well, that's probably the most fun thing about this game is accidentally messing up everything. Oh man. You know what? I think we need another sun. I think we do. Who's this guy? Mirach. Blow. Got to turn the temperature up, guys. Global cooling. Okay, I'll delete Jupiter and Saturn. It's gonna make everything go flying. Bye, Jupiter.
by Saturn. So this is why when I did my planet tier ranking, I said that Jupiter and Saturn were kind of the bodyguards of the solar system because they, sort of keep our orbits stable. I do think that there's a reason our solar system is sort of ordered the way that it is, and that you have the rocky planets on the inside and the gas giants on the outside. Picture of Bigfoot riding Loch Ness going over a waterfall. Yeah, I hope that was a flat Earth joke, because if so, yeah. I don't know why. They're just like my favorite hobby, I think, because I don't know how much of it is a troll and how many people actually believe it. Although I did meet one of my friends from the army that I'm actually like pretty decent friends with that I'm still in touch with. He believes in a flat Earth, and so I've been chatting with him about it. And from what I can tell, and actually trying to be nice, right? Not trying to be mean. I think that the types of people who go for the flat Earth thing are, and I don't use the word conspiracy as a bad word on this channel, um, but I think what happens is you go down the conspiracy rabbit hole, you find out, oh, okay, the government has lied about some things, so therefore, what else is it lying about, right? And, yes, for sure, the government has lied about plenty of things in the past, um, but one of the things that I've kind of always said is that, um, just because someone lies about one thing doesn't mean that they lie about another thing, right? So, just because your ex cheated on you and lied about that doesn't mean she lied to you about what high school she went to. But the type of brain I think that will accept a flat earth theory, it's like you're sitting inside and you just sort of slowly continue to build more and more of a distrust for institutions until you don't believe them anymore. And the interesting thing is this guy I know who's a flat earther, he actually worked in Patriot missiles with me, and Patriot missiles and artillery do not work without correcting for the Coriolis effect, which is something that only happens on a flat Earth. It's the reason why prevailing winds go east in the northern hemisphere and west in the southern hemisphere. It's the reason why water spins clockwise in the northern hemisphere and counterclockwise in the southern hemisphere, and hence why we have hurricanes in the north, typhoons in the south, and they don't cross. There's not a single hurricane or typhoon or anything like that on the equator. There's just not. So, to me, that's if you ever kind of get into it with a flat earther, that's the easiest thing. They're like, dude, a sniper shooting from 2 miles has to make small corrections for the Coriolis effect for the rotation of the Earth. An artilleryman shooting from 80 miles definitely does, and a Patriot missile operator, shooting from a longer distance, absolutely does. You're going to miss by a large distance without it. So, and you will probably just be responded to with a bunch of memes, but. And yeah, so this is what normally happens here, Road, or Hayden, is yeah, you just get all the moons are going to kind of jettison. Some of them are going to go out. Some of them are going to form into basically a new Oort cloud or a new asteroid belt. And yeah, because Saturn and Jupiter do pretty much hold our solar system together. So besides actually, deflecting comets and asteroids and other things that come flying at us and hitting us, they're really just the great bodyguards. They keep our orbit kind of tight and together and in shape. We have the large mass of the sun on the inside, and then a large mass of Jupiter and the other gas and ice giants on the outside, kind of just keeping this perfect equilibrium in our solar system. And when you get rid of them, boom, you don't have it anymore, right? All right, and before I get out of here, let's see what new built-in simulations they have here, because they really make some awesome ones. Earth exploding and close moon. Experimental. These are some of my favorite to go through. Boom! So we just got a close moon here blowing up. Wow! How much time we got? Oh, it's almost 9 o'clock. All right, I'll be getting out of here soon. We'll do a couple more explosions. What's this? Bombard the moon with materials. Bombarded with asteroids. I've done this one before, but this one's cool though. They bombard it with a bunch of different materials to essentially terraform it. So they make them water, sulfur dioxide, methane, and oxygen. They're transferred to the moon's surface, forming lakes that flow together and eventually evaporate to form an atmosphere. Yeah, so Three Eye Atlas was behind the sun for a while, but this is the interesting thing is that even when it was behind the sun, we had instruments that could see it, right? Because you have to keep in mind that we have um, telescopes and things like that orbiting Mars and Jupiter and stuff like that. So our government agencies were still able to see it. There was kind of this whole conspiracy that the government shutdown is this big excuse for why they don't want to show us information. I have seen new images of Three Eye Atlas. They're just not that good because it's just not super bright. It doesn't seem to have much of a tail or a coma. I'll probably talk about it again next week. I just want to take a little bit of a break from it. Um, but we've been getting data on it. And yeah, it has come back from around the sun now, so we should be getting more data from it. And honestly, it is a little bit weird that we don't have some better imagery of it. Um, but it's also like I said, it's not as bright and as brilliant as like Lemon. Like there are some amazing, amazing images out there of the 2025 A6 Lemon, I think is the full moniker of it. But it's just absolutely, it has this like bright green tail and a separate trail that you can see. It's absolutely beautiful. So, but I'm going to get out of here. That's it for today. Like I said, next week we will definitely do a comet update. I know you guys want to hear about that. I just needed to take a little break from the rabbit hole for a little bit. So thank you for everybody who tuned in. If you're coming in late, we did a lot today. We terraformed Mars, and then we crashed it into Earth, and then we put a giant star in the middle of the solar system. And then once we had that giant star, we started terraforming one of the moons of Neptune. So we did a lot today, just a lot of fun experiments, no news or anything like that. Next week, I will hit you guys back up with a little bit more news about Atlas. I'll try to see what I actually think about this kind of government shutdown stuff. Is there a blackout of information? Are they trying to withhold stuff? Or but the truth of the matter is we don't know, right? The government, they're going to withhold what they feel like withholding. They're going to put out what they feel like putting out. All we can sort of do is decipher what we have. But I said thank you, everybody who joined. I really appreciate it. Make sure to go check out some of my other shorts, some of my other videos, and I hope you learned something today. I hope you had a lot of fun. If you have any other requests, leave them down in a comment, and put it on my